That's my turn.
Yeah, but what about the reason?
Hold on,
You
hold
have
on.
a
Any
reason.
other public comment?
The reason is when it gets wet, it turns into slop.
The pavement underneath.
And the pavement underneath makes it worse because the water doesn't run through, it has to evaporate.
Thank you for your public comment. Any other?
Yeah, real quick, my name is Chris, I'm on Quakey Nassman. I just have a question about the monthly road work report. I sent in a request on January 15th for Quakey Nassman, and that's not listed here. If I'm reading this right, it doesn't show like it was received. I've got requests going all the way back to August. And I'd also like to know what's the expectation on a response? I get zero response other than from the secretary. And is there an expectation? Should I be expecting anything or silent? I guess that's kind of just what I was curious about. And I just wanted just a question regarding the upcoming work on Quakey Nassman. I see we're gonna go to O'Hara. What about the rest of the road? Is there plans? Are we gonna do anything? Just curious. That's all I got.
Thank you for your public comment.
On this, the road request ended on January 14th for January because of the upcoming meeting.
So it would have been on the February column. Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. That's my
Yeah.
question. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? State your name, please, sir.
My name is Scott Ulch, and it's spelled ULCH.
Thank you.
Record. Yeah, I kind of got a soft spot for you guys because I was on the board of directors for Spanish Springs Valley Ranches for 12 years. And I also ran their grader for about 10 years. And so I've been on the other side of the table. But I got to say on Bacon Rind that we probably need to get in there with a grader and rip that pavement so that the moisture can go through rather than just stay there like water in a bowl, you know? And I think we ripped it all up. That actual asphalt is only about that thick, maybe an inch to inch and a half thick. And I think that would help. We used some Enzyme when I was on running the grader there for Spanish Springs Valley Ranches that I'm not sure whether you guys are aware of. It's an extract of sugarcane. I can get you the exact name of it. But other than the difference between that and magnet chloride is it makes a hard surface, and then we get about a 5 to 10% gravel, and then it would remain hard. So in the middle of the summer, it would look just like it is now after a rain. And, it wouldn't pothole out, and it was a pretty good material. And then what we started doing after that to take care of that 10% gravel was putting a light coat of magnet chloride over the top. Of course, we crowned all the roads. So anyway, that's all I've got to say. And the other thing is I've got the tree farm up here, and the guy that planted it for a choose and cut Christmas tree farm, but Colorado blue spruce don't make very good Christmas trees. So I bought a spade, and we've been selling those trees for landscape trees, and I ship them out. Well, I've got a 48-foot, maybe 52-foot van that comes in there. And I talked to one of the road guys one day, and I said, that culvert down at the intersection with Axe Handle and Bacon Rind is all mashed in, and there's a big hole there. And every time my truck goes around, the trailer falls in that hole and dang near falls, tips over. And I said, is there any chance of getting another 10-foot of culvert put on that thing and moving the yield sign a little further to the right? And, I was just talking to a guy out in the woods there. So I'm proposing that right now for consideration of the board. And I thank you all very much for your time.
Thank you for your public comment. Any other public comment? Pam?
Pam Roberts for the record. I was looking at the minutes from last meeting and Greg Dennis, or trustee Dennis, talked about, some roads and some different ideas, and that discussion kind of got cut off because it was a little bit beyond the scope of the agenda. And I'm just wondering, is that covered by today's agenda, that discussion? And if it's not, I'd ask that the board really make sure it's on the discussion, because I think there's some worthwhile ideas from the public as well as the board members, so that you could actually make some decisions at some point regarding some of those ideas that were brought up at the last meeting.
Thank you for your public comment. Anybody else? All right. Approval of minutes for January 16, 2025.
I move that we accept the minutes as written.
Any public comment on that? On the minutes? No? Okay, I got a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Review of bills and other financial matters, review of transactions report.
Okay, so the transaction report for the month, there were no major items to note. Everything was pretty usual, with the exception that we had 3 payrolls because of the timing. So it does show there's three payrolls on the transaction report. And then on the invoices to pay, Sean did quite a bit of work on Wilcox. So there is a bill for Western Nevada Materials that I already paid the invoices so that we could get our discount. And so that needs a final approval. And then the invoices for Sierra Rental Transport, there's a new copy. I added an invoice that was missed and corrected one that was adjusted. So the total came to $14,128.40 for Sierra Rental. And then nothing else crazy as far as invoices go. There's the typical monthly bills. And then on the net operating report, since the Sierra Rental in Western Nevada they're not cleared yet from the transaction, I added a little note on the right side on the aggregate surfacing so that we can see the balance going forward too, because you're gonna talk about that tonight with the budget and everything. And so that is there. And then the state is changing their system. So they only paid half of the CTX payment for January, and they're going to it's going to be caught up in either February or March. They didn't say exactly yet when, but it will be caught up. So we'll get that other half of that payment. Like right now, it looks like we're short, but it is coming. So that is still noted as far as the incoming on the budget at the top for the expected revenue.
They were pretty sure by March it would be.
They were sure by the end of March, but they weren't sure if it was they were hoping February, but they're having trouble with their new system, I guess. And so that's why.
That's that email they sent us.
Yeah, big, long.
Explaining why they couldn't do the job.
Any board discussion on the financials?
I have a question. I see invoices for Robin White and for Angie Phillips and then for Kathy Glather. I know the jobs that these two ladies do, but it looks like Kathy Glather has billed us approximately $1,500, and I don't know what services she's provided. I don't see any services that she's provided, so maybe you could explain it to me.
Actually, if you look back at the minutes of August, I believe, of 2024, you'll see her letter of engagement, and it lists all the services that she provides.
Okay, I saw her invoice and it says she's working on a handbook. Is that an employee handbook
She's
Or
working on
board.
the board handbook,
and when do we think that'll be done?
probably in the next month or two, I'm hoping. Any other board discussion? Public comment? There.
Pam Roberts for the record. I'm not, so, estimated net operating funds for road improvements, which I believe is part of this agenda item, if I'm wrong, and I'm slightly ahead, I apologize. At the bottom, it lists monthly expenses and it has payroll, and then it says other non-road maintenance. I think, as a member of the public, I'd like to know what that is, and if you don't want to answer my question, I'll ask one of the board members to ask the question. Thank you.
I'm not following.
So
I'll ask Angie. Angie, what is that line item referring to?
So the payroll line item on it refers to, if you look on this, the transaction report, the payroll items go down to United Healthcare. And then the other items are everything below that line. And the exception on this particular, there's road maintenance for $168, which is the Granite invoice, like 6 up from the bottom on the front, on the page 1. And so that's the breakdown. The 29,000 is down to United, and then the other is everything else except for the 168. Here.
Any other public comment?
And one of the major things on there was the audit that we paid the CPA.
It's just a calculation of payroll items to do, and then it's every
All right, I'm gonna, someone make a motion to pay the bill.
I'll second it.
Okay, I made that motion. We got a second, all in favor? Aye, opposed, motion carries.
We're on the budget.
You fast.
Now we'll do the tentative budget for fiscal year July 1, 2025 to June 30th, 2026.
Can we go ahead and do the tax rate first?
Sure.
Okay, we have to decide if we're going to lower the tax rate or keep it the same. We cannot raise it because it's all maxed. And unless the legislature does something to raise the tax rate, there's nothing we can do about it. So your two options that we have to report to the state are, do you want to keep the tax rate the same, or would you like to lower it?
The same. Agree.
Yeah, I mean, board discussion on that?
No.
Obviously, it'll stay
Okay.
the same. That's, yeah.
I just needed that from the board too.
Are you good with
Need a
that?
motion?
Public comment on the tax rate? No? And I think, Robin, correct me if I'm wrong, we gotta make a motion on that, right?
Yes, that way I can report it to
Move
them.
to
Keep the tax.
submit as required the reports to the state in that we will be keeping our tax rate the same.
All right, second it.
Got a motion and a second, all in
I
favor?
third it.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, now on to the tentative budget.
Okay, so column 1 is the final approved budget from 24-25 through what we approved last year. Column 2 is an estimate from the actuals through 2/20, and then an estimate for having the remaining 4.5 months through June, what we can expect to be paying based on what we've been paying for so far this year. And so I went through and kind of evaluated each line item and to see where we were and either raised or lowered the budget for 2025 to 2026. And then there was a couple recommendations made that I included as well for items. So we have, to have roughly about $1.1 million income coming in, which is slightly higher than last year, coming from the state's projections. Right now, we'll get the new numbers for the final budget. And then the employer information on the salary and wages, I went ahead and included for the budget purposes 5% increase on the salaries, and on PERS with that same 5%. And PERS has also changed their rate, so they're going to be going up
So you
to.
encompass that. in-
So I encompass that in here so that you can see it. So it does include a 5% plus the PERS increase, plus the PERS increase for the rate, for hourly rate, and for the PERS increase.
Question is,
Yes.
do you see any other significant changes besides the PERS and some of those things, insurance or anything else gonna come back and bite us, or were those increased, in comparison with what insurance rates have been going up?
Mhm. So I increased the rates for insurance. Our budget for last year was
It's really getting bad in some places.
in some places, yeah. So we were our budget on insurance was $16,500 for last year, and the actual invoice is $14,500. So I just left that the same because we went from 12 to 14. So I just left it with a possible increase to be 2.
Thank you. I'm happy.
And but other than that, the everything else we were a little high last year for the most part. So I lowered some items so that we would have more in the road fund.
Now, is there, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is the tentative budget, and then we actually adopted in May,
We have to adopt it in April.
in April?
or
Yes.
March meeting.
Well, March meeting, you adopt it, then we advertise it. April's when we have to submit it into the, let me get you my calendar. Okay, so in April, we have to submit 2 copies of the tentative budget to the state. And then, once it's been sent to the state in May, we have the hearing and the final budget is sent. We have to agendize it. We won't have the meeting until the 22nd in May, so that we're in that timeline. Have to advertise it in the newspaper, and then we'll have the meeting, and then that'll be submitted as the final budget.
Do we need to approve this tentative budget?
No, this was just so that you could review it. If there were any questions, we could make the changes and be prepared in March to have you approve it.
Okay, do we have time though for the board and obviously the public, to come back in March?
Mhm.
And after everybody digests this, if
Mhm.
they have some ideas or some
Yes.
quirks, we can do that in March.
And we don't even have the final numbers yet. We won't have those
Okay.
until March.
Mhm.
We actually won't have all the final numbers until the April meeting, and that will be the budget that needs to be approved.
Okay.
So March, yes, we have March and April.
Just one more question. Sean, you went from, equipment maintenance expense of 45,000 to 25,000 approximately proposed. Are you okay with that?
That was on the maintenance, but on the capital outlay.
It says equipment maintenance expense.
Yeah, it's right.
Yeah, I took it. We're only about $7,500 right now, and so
Okay.
I lowered it.
Yeah, she lowered it to make it more reasonable,
Well, all right.
based on current trends.
Mhm.
Perfect.
Sean doing most of the labor, it saves quite a bit. He's just
And if
buying.
we
He's
do
doing
have
parts.
anything like capital outlay budget that's in there right now, it would go, whatever I have in there could go.
Well, we can change it. I mean, there's 1.2 million in the road maintenance that can be messed with.
I'll take it.
Okay.
But is there any, before we do public comment, is there any board discussion on this tentative budget tonight?
I don't know about everybody else, but I'm gonna take it home and look it over, and March is when I think we can have the big discussion.
Cool.
I used to do things different, but road maintenance includes capital expense?
The capital expense is actually on the
Yeah,
back
back.
side, about
But
halfway down.
Capital expense to many people means just buildings or a piece of equipment versus
Mhm.
a piece of
It's on
asset.
this side,
Mhm.
and it's,
Well,
So-
that's part of like a greater.
Yeah, he's-
$65,000.
for,
It
the,
doesn't include anything that gets put in permanently as an asset as a road.
Right.
correct.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
Public comment on the tentative budget? Pam?
Pam Roberts for the record. And I don't know if they can answer this, but I guess I'm looking at, I understand the changes in, some of the changes in the expenses, and some of those are pretty solid, we know what they are.
Mhm.
But I'm looking at the income, and I see the budget for fiscal year 24-25 was total income and fund balance, 1,500, I'm sorry, 1,506,721. And then I see that the proposed budget for 25-26 is $290,000 more. And I'm just trying to understand where that money, I know that we can't 100% accurately predict what we're gonna get in that year, but that's a pretty big difference, and I'm just wondering where that money is coming from, because that's nice that it's there, but where's it coming from?
We're raising their taxes.
You can't.
So the biggest part right now is the ad valorem tax from Washoe County is completely an estimate. And so it's about $30,000 more for that. And then we had another about 30 for the fair share is what the state's estimate is right now. And then on
Most of it's coming from what's left over.
the ending fund balance, we had quite a bit left over last year. And then we kept, I was doing the calculation, my understanding was we were supposed to have 4% remaining. So I had it at 90,000, and it's 4% of last year's balance. And so this year it's at 60, so there's another 30. But then we also had our beginning fund balance was 783,000. And last year we were only at 424.
Okay, that makes, now I understand.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? All right, are you guys good? Moving on?
Hello,
Oh,
Go ahead.
you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I just wanted to, sort of make clear and put on the record that the vote that you took on the tax rate a few minutes ago is actually a part of the discussion of the tentative budget, is that correct?
Yes. Yes, it is.
So I just want to make that clear because there's nothing specifically on the agenda that
Yeah, we're kind
suggests
of,
a vote on that as an independent item.
yeah, we kind of enveloped that
As long
as,
as we're clear.
yeah.
So Robin, you can make a note
I
to
just
Yeah.
need
make
the
it more
record
clear next time.
that
Okay.
that vote was actually
Next
a
year, it'll,
subset of item D.
and
Yes.
next year it'll be separate.
Okay, that's all.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. All right, capital outlay budgets, capital outlay budget for remainder of fiscal year 2025.
Okay, so you guys have my paper there.
This is what she
You showed the balance.
Wait a minute. Go ahead.
So did you take an action just now on the tentative budget?
No, no action on the tentative budget, just on the tax rate.
Okay. So just to make it clear then again that you elected not to take action to approve the tentative budget because it is on the agenda, so maybe you're tabling that for another meeting.
We're gonna come back next month, and if board members or through public comment, we propose changes to it, well, it'll be on the agenda for March.
Right.
Yeah.
That's fine. I just want there to be something that disposes of the on the record, either by tabling it or something like that, okay?
Well, we can make it, should we make a motion to table?
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, we'll make a motion to table.
Well, I just,
Yeah, I'll second it.
that'd be good.
Okay.
Is
That helps the record.
Okay.
question to our attorney, Is that specific to the tax rate that we approved?
No, that's motion.
That's already
That's already
finished.
done.
I know, but I'm just making sure
Yeah,
that
so,
he's not worried about the
No, he
approval of the tax rate.
No, he wants us to motion the tentative budget, so it's on the record, so it'll be on the agenda next month. So we had a motion for me and a second to table the tentative budget until the March 2025 meeting. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Any public comment?
We did public comment on the tentative budget.
Okay.
Okay, capital outlay budgets. Back to Sean.
Okay, so basically what we have going on is, as you can see, we had a balance of 85,000. What I'm gonna propose is, at this point in time, pulling 55,000 of that and putting it towards my ag surfacing, in which I have, a couple of roads that basically will make that a wash. No money will come out of the district. It's gonna be what I have left and what we add to 55 if you guys choose to do that. I can get 2 roads done and nothing else comes out of the pocket of the GID. As for next fiscal year, I'm gonna be requesting 65,000, and I would be looking for an excavator and or another grader to possibly change our older 770, just because if, you know, it's getting up there in the hours, and if something comes up at the auction, might be time to get another one like we kind of just bought last 2 years ago.
Right.
So I would need the 65 to be approved, and then I would need a pre-approval to purchase, either piece of equipment, of course, not being purchased before August 31st of this year.
Okay, any board discussion on these two items? I mean, obviously, the first item's great. I love it that Sean's, moving the money around like that. We can motion on that, and then we, have money actually to cover outside our own money for the projects in the next agenda item that Sean's gonna talk about. So that's good with me. The second one, I don't have a problem with either. The capital outlay budgets have been kind of ballooned when I came on the board, and through just diligence and taking care of the equipment, getting stuff over the years. I mean, the capital outlay budgets have come down, which is great because it gives us more money for road maintenance. So that's my feeling on those two items. But do you guys want to have any discussion on that? It's up to you.
I move, that we moved the money from the, capital outlay budget, to be used for road maintenance, as he proposed, and we approved the 65,000 for the equipment.
Second.
Okay, hold on.
You can do those
Sorry.
separately.
We're gonna take public comment, but will you make your motion, Marshall, exactly like it says under proposal?
Sure,
For the first item?
okay. That we reduce the fiscal year 25 capital outlay budget holdback by 55,000 and correspondingly increase the aggregate surfacing program budget holdback.
Am I get a second from
I second that.
public comment? George?
George Boyce for the record. Where is this resurfacing going to be done at?
It's in a future agenda item, George, we're about to get to it.
Okay.
Any other public comment? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carried. You know, on the capital outlay budget for fiscal year 2026, let's do it separate. You want to make a motion, Marshall, on the first?
Well, yeah, I move that we pre-approve to purchase an
Well-
excavator or grader.
I want to, okay. We can do that first, okay. Not to be purchased before August 31st, 2025.
And the estimated cost being 65,000. You know, Sean's got pretty good, he's got very good, skills at picking good equipment, so.
Okay, got a motion on that?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Any public comment on that?
My name is Chris. So is there gonna be an increase in road work with 3 machines? I mean, you're gonna have 3 machines, there should be some kind of return on that, right?
Just for information, normally if I buy a piece of equipment that's replacing a piece of equipment, I sell that piece of equipment.
So it sounds like we're gonna,
He's been very successful.
so it sounds,
So it actually does come back to the district, is usually pretty good fun.
so if you guys, so it'll be like, instead of having 3 graders, we'll have 2. We might have 3 for a short time, but
Yes.
1 will go away.
We had a few water trucks too for to get rid of.
Any other public comment? All right, we got a motion and a second on the pre-approval to purchase an excavator or grader, not before August 31st, 2025. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion carried. I'm gonna make the motion to keep the capital outlay budget for fiscal year 2026 at 65,000. You got a second? You got a second? So I got a motion and a public comment on that? No? I got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. So take care of that. Judicial government affairs, none. Road reports, road operations and maintenance reports. Back to Sean.
Well, we've had a lot of freezing weather, so road grading is not conducive to frozen roads. Generally, this time of year, we are trying to get a lot of equipment squared away for the upcoming season that we always tend to have a hot, dry season. That is very hard on the equipment, so again, we've been just doing a lot of shop stuff, building a truck. This is a truck we just built. That was part of our TM fire truck, that one of the fire trucks that we got. It's replacing a 1980 weld truck. So now we'll be able to go and repair some of our cattle guards that are getting wiped out around here and so forth. Anyway, any other questions on that?
Any discussion from you guys? Anybody else? Any public comment on the road report?
I have a question.
Oh, go ahead.
Is this where I would talk about roads and road work?
It's not on the agenda, we're not talking about it.
Okay,
Well, let's see, road reports,
I'm not getting into it, Greg.
road operations and maintenance report,
And he just did it.
aggregate surfacing project.
All right, there's no public comment? Okay, we're moving on to aggregate surfacing projects.
Okay, so technically, with what you guys just approved, I had already done the last portion, which was of Wilcox, roughly about a 1 mile and a third or so. It was from where we had left off and to the top of Mid Road. So we've gotten that done. With the money that we just are pulling out of capital outlay, I have 2 roads that money goes towards. One of them is Bacon Rhine on the south side, and it would go from Axe Handle to Sky Canyon. And then the other one is for Quaking Aspen Road, which would go from Wilcox up to O'Hara, which is 2 miles from there.
is there something that we can do about the Bacon Rind North, which we've already had public coming in and requesting it this meeting and the last meeting? And I agree with them that their road becomes a slimy, messy pit in that one, I don't know if it's a half-mile section. You probably know where that is.
It's, they say that it's the asphalt underneath, but if anybody would have looked at the asphalt that I covered up, there wasn't really asphalt there. There was more holes than solid, so the water does escape. The same material thing, Amy Short, but 25 miles of roads, it's the same stuff. Times what happens, if you look right now, as I've said even last month, drive Wilcox Ranch after a good rain, it's holding up very well and not sticking. You'll always get some track out on the road. But everybody drives that road very each lane, let's just say, right? Whereas this one, they drive straight on the middle. It did have a crown, and it still does have a crown. Look at the edges, the top of the road down is probably a good, 15, 18 inches before it gets to the edges. Far as, normally, if you give it a day of sunshine, it gets up enough firmness to where it's good to go. So we aren't gonna scrape it off, I can tell you that.
So this is my suggestion on that, because I kind of want to stick to the roads we have on the agenda. But this is my suggestion to deal with that concern from Jewel. We're talking about a mile of road, right? About a mile. So add, if you would, Sean, please, when we do aggregate surfacing, the big thing next month, please add a mile of changing that, what the cost would be to just make it base and not classy.
I would cover, I would not remove, so.
Right, cover it,
You bet. Okay,
right? Just, we'll do that, and then the board can decide if we want to allocate funding to that next month.
you
I
got it.
appreciate it.
We don't want to, we don't want the specificity to be exactly what you said with regards to just a specific type of dirt. Let Sean come up with, if he finds a good mix or something that works. You think,
Yes, yeah, well, good idea. Yeah.
see where I'm saying, John?
Right.
We just didn't want to make it one
Right.
specific thing, yay or nay, and it's on the
Copy
agenda,
that.
we can't.
He's
I
got
could
it.
even
He's
possibly
got
do a test with DG
Thank you.
back on top where I
very,
just
very-
replaced it
I
from.
don't want to go down that road without the ability of the board to make a decision on what we need to do.
Nope, perfect. So we'll add that to the list next month. Cool.
And can we also add all of Queaking Aspen to that, to the estimate?
It's actually already on it, Julie.
Great.
Public comment. That's
George Force for the record. I think this board has too much emphasis on the east side of this valley. We got a lot of taxpayers over here in the west, and I come to these meetings regularly, and everything is proposed for the east. All the money is pretty much spent on the east. I haven't seen nothing done here in the west.
There you go. There's $303,000 on there.
May I have a copy of that, please?
I don't. I only brought one for him, to be
Okay,
honest with you.
sure.
I will get you one though. I've had it in my thing because of that.
Because some
That's all I
of those
gotta
things I
say.
totally disagree with.
Thank you for your public comment. I think you'll be happy next month. Other public comment.
My name's Chris. I don't see the entirety of Quaking Aspen on here. I just see a partial. No, Upper Quaking Aspen hasn't been touched in 2 years.
I disagree with that. I graded it actually, the upper part above, I can't tell you where the dirt's, where the gate is, the green gate? The three
Okay,
whoop-de-doos
Don
past
Otto's.
Auto's house, I graded all the way to the end of Mountain Aspen.
When was that?
I'd have to look at if you look at the Alps reports,
Yeah,
they'll be there.
I mean, from O'Hara to Microwave, we got heavy equipment going up there constantly. It's washboarded to hell. I mean,
I should have taken care of the road instead of in front of his
has
house.
anyone looked at it recently?
Have you ever checked
I have. I drove it on
Hold
December
hold on.
30th.
We're doing public comment.
I guess my question is, I think that, it doesn't get observed as much as maybe it should. I live on that road and it's terrible. From O'Hara up to Microwave is absolutely terrible. That's all I have to say.
Thank you for your public comment. Pam?
Pam Roberts for the record. The agenda item is aggregate surfacing projects. And I have a document that was handed out that's called aggregate surfacing project that Sean Kelly prepared. And I just, for a point of clarification, I believe this document is only covering through June, June fiscal year 25, right? So June 30th? And that there's another document or another proposal that the operations manager is gonna have at another meeting that deals with proposed aggregate projects for fiscal year 25-26. And if that's true, I think we need to make it clear to the public that this is, what the time period is for this. I agree with, the member of the public who said there seems to be a lot more work being done on my side of Pyramid Highway, than there is on the other, and I do think that the board, should be considering that, for fiscal year 25-26. I also agree with the member of the public that Quaking Aspen has been, brought up by numerous people, within the district. I'm sure the board can't do everything they would like to have done on Quaking Aspen, but I think the board really needs to do something to help, and improve, some materials being put up there to make it, more workable, more drivable. I think, Sean has done an incredible job on some of the roads. We've had a lot of improvement on a lot of the roads. But we need to spread the good work around. And I hope the board will really look to that when you start approving money for the next fiscal year. Thank you.
Thank you for your public comment. Any other public comment?
Lori Sports up for the record. Regarding Quaking Aspen, as I recall, a couple of meetings ago, there was conversation about reaching out to the power company or whichever company it is that uses that part of the road from, I'm assuming O'Hara up to Microwave. And I'm just wondering if those conversations have been followed up on so that we can see if there's some way to have them help offset some of those expenses for the GW.
Thank you for your public comment. Any other public comment? All right. We're gonna make a motion on this still, right?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Will someone make a motion on the aggregate surfacing project proposed by the operations manager? Okay, I'll make a motion.
Didn't we
I'll
already
make a
do that?
motion
Not
to
for this
allocate the funding,
Just moving the money.
for Bacon Ryan South from Axe Handle Road to Sky Canyon Road, 30,000, and Quaking Aspen Road from Wilcox Ranch Road to O'Hara Road for 40,000.
Second. Second, and I have a little bit of discussion.
Go ahead.
Sean, what base do you intend to use on that road?
What I use on all of them, E, that's the only way I'm gonna get that much.
Okay, thank you.
Any other board discussion on that? Okay, I got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Unfinished business, none. New business, there's none. Correspondence.
Basically, we received the report for any tort actions against the board, and that was submitted by the attorney, and we have it on file, and that was really the only correspondence we had this month.
Calendar.
For the calendar, we will, in March, we'll be agendizing the auditing firm again. We do have their bid through this year. We'll have to submit a new bid out in September for a new auditing firm, new bid. I have to notify the tax rate for tomorrow. Let's see, we had to agendize the final budget for next month. And so that'll be where we do discussion and finalize that. And we should receive the final revenue projection packet on March 15th. So we should have that before the meeting. So we'll be able to update that. And that's what we have on the calendar.
Okay, board member. Oh, go
I
ahead.
got one question.
Go ahead. Sorry, guys. Marshall had a question.
Go ahead, Margaret.
Well, I just wanted to make sure that we advertise, I mean, I don't want to be here till midnight, but we need to advertise the March meeting for next year's budget and make sure that people that have public comment want to come in and participate in that they all know about it. So
It actually gets in the paper for April, the April meeting, but it would be nice if people knew in March so they could come and make comments.
Yeah, can we blast it out on the internet or something like that?
Is it okay for me to put it on Nextdoor and on the Facebook Palomino site?
Put it wherever you want.
Okay,
You know,
then I will do that.
we just need to give everybody a chance to get their 2 cents in.
Greg?
No, I had a question on when you, and I forgot it already, the words you used. Something about the revenue package.
We'll get the revenue projection package on
How
March
is that
15th.
put together? Is it just something the state sends you back
The state
as
sends it.
usual?
Mhm.
They sent us a prelim already and we'll get the
Yeah.
final.
Knew what that
Yeah.
was, okay.
February 14th, they send us the
Fine, they're
The
terrible.
projection.
their projection,
Right,
And then they'll
and
send
then
us
in
the
March, they send us the final.
because it's all dependent upon those tax codes for
Mhm.
the tax analysis.
And we still don't really get all of the projections until after the meeting, but they get pretty close.
Anything else? No? Okay, board member and staff items. I'll just say real quick, for next month, Robin, on that, for the agenda, we have the tentative budget,
Mhm.
pavement rehab 2025, aggregate surfacing projects, which will be the supporting document from
Mhm.
what Sean does and adds to the one road. And that's, I think, all I got for next month.
Let me see if there's anything else for you. That's it.
And the only other thing I would say for the board in general, and this isn't a discussion, it's just not even a direction, it's just kind of an idea for you guys to think about. We don't have a road committee anymore because we can't without agendizing it and doing all those things. Essentially, in my mind, the operations manager and his point of contact supervisor on the board, Nevada Story, is the road committee, right? That's how I look at it, 2 qualified guys. So if board members have questions about roads, everything doesn't need to be on the agenda. Call Nevada, call Sean, see if we can mitigate the issue that a board member might have with the road. And then, you know, if it's to the point where we have to agendize it, then we'll go from there and we'll agendize it. I mean, if that's fair to you guys, I mean, that's, seems like a pretty great way to handle it. And then if we have to agendize a specific road or a specific issue or a drainage ditch that these 2 guys can't put their heads together and mitigate, then we'll agendize it and move forward on it and have discussion. Other than that, you guys have anything else for board member and staff items?
Couple of things. One is, I'd like a review of the general improvement, the GID expenses on chip seal and consideration of other options. And secondly, I would like, consideration of condition assessments for the 92 miles of roads and approximate cost to have such reports put together and present that to the GID for their consideration.
So those are agenda items you're requesting for March?
Yes.
Anything else?
I have something, and I agree with Trustee Dennis. We talked about this last month about divvying up the roads, since we probably can't afford an engineer to go out and survey and give us an idea of what condition the roads are, divvying up the roads to us, each of us, and coming back with a report on the condition of each of our roads, so that we can make good decisions to prioritize what needs to be done.
Well, yes and no, because we spend millions of dollars.
Yeah, now we're getting into discussion, right? We're not doing that.
All right.
And
That
then
needs to be agendized.
The other thing I'd like to make a suggestion is on the monthly roadwork request report. is that when we have a member of the public coming in and making public comment about requesting to have work done on their road, that it gets added to this list saying that we've had a request, would you look at Beacon Rind, or would you look at Quaking Aspen, or would you look at Bootstrap, or wherever?
It gets coded into that document.
Yes, if we have a member of the public coming in requesting
That makes
service
sense.
on it.
Okay, yeah, the Bacon Rind, they did not send in a request, so it's not on there.
Anything else? No? Okay, public comment on matters not listed on this agenda.
George Boyce, I just got this paperwork, says they did $303,000 on the west side of this valley. The last time they did a project on the west side of the valley, 2022, that's 3 years ago. Okay. Now, they've got a lot of projects on the east side of this valley since 2022, but they haven't done one project on the west side of the valley since 2022, according to this paperwork. Some of these projects that they're showing on here are all the way back to 2012. That's a long ways back to take and say, well, we worked on it. Pretty soon though, 80 years ago, sure, we put the road in 80 years ago, but we haven't done anything to it since. And the thing I got objection to this board is you should have a fair amount. I'm not telling the board where they should spend the money, but the money should be allocated evenly. These people pay taxes over here, and you're putting all this money on the east side. I grant you the east side is the biggest, but it should be in proportion to what the taxpayers are paying over here. If they're, you can figure out how much taxes those people pay and how much we pay over here, and it should be in proportion, not where you have 3 years ago saying, well, we did road work over there that we spent this amount of money. Well, if you told those people on the west side that, on the east side, that, oh, well, 3 years ago, we did road money over there, they'd be screaming holy murder to you, this board. So the way I look at it, this board is not doing their job in proportioning the money that the taxpayers are paying on the west side. This is disgraceful when you hand me a piece of paper that says, well, we did road work in 2022.
Thank you for your public comment. Any other public comment? Pam?
Pam Roberts, I would just like to acknowledge the fact that I noticed that our attorney's fees have gone down substantially since we have let go of the previous attorney and hired the current attorney. And I think he's doing a great job from what I can see from the minutes. And I just want to congratulate the board on selecting him. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
For the record, Laura Sportsoff, just a follow up to the comment about the road work on Quaking Aspen from O'Hara to Microwave. I'm wondering if it's reasonable to request one of the board members to take that on as a project to see what we can do in terms of working with the companies that are using that road. And if you need any assistance, happy to volunteer to help.
That's a big one.
Thank you for your public comment. Any other public comment? All right, adjournment.
I move that we adjourn.
Yes. Got a second? Got a motion and a second? All in favor?
All right.
Aye. Motion carried at 6:55.
Good work, John.